Okay, I think I'm live. Oh, my computer's, it's not my computer, it's Facebook. It's Facebook. And I think I'm live and I'm not live, and then I think I'm live and I'm not live, and they have me fill out all these things I don't normally fill out. Anyway, hello, I'm Isabel from Patrick Chicken Studio, and we are live from the studio every Wednesday at 6:30 Mountain Time, and here we are. Another week, another live. I'm a little frazzled today. The wind is blowing, of course, and I had to go out. Our modem needed to be replaced. So in a panic, drove to the Comcast store and got a new modem. And anyway, we're up and running. Fortunately, it was really seamless. This is the first time I've had a modem hookup go like, no big deal. It kind of did all the work. I just had to scan it with the app on my phone, and voila, it worked. So that was kind of exciting. Anyway. So tonight I thought I'd talk about hot pads, which are our second biggest seller. So we create hot pads using denim, and we started out using blue jeans. So we take, recycle blue jeans, we cut them all apart, take all the seams off, and use whatever fabric we could to make hot pads. And first of all, it's really time consuming to cut apart all those jeans. But second of all, the quality was, because some jeans are in really bad shape. And of course, I would look for new ones or newish ones, and they usually had to be men's jeans because we knew men's jeans were always 100% cotton, and you don't want to have a hot pad that's not cotton because it'll melt as soon as you pick up a pot. And so that meant we didn't get a whole lot unless I found really big butt jeans, and men don't tend to be as hefty as the women in the world these days. But anyway, we did that for a while, but I didn't really like the quality. I'd bring them home, I'd wash the heck out of them, make sure they were really clean, and then I'd cut them apart, and then I'd make the hot pads. And it was a cute gimmick, but I wasn't comfortable with that product going out that way. And so I eventually switched to denim from the fabric store. So you can buy it by the yard. It is not cheap. So denim tends to be on the pricier side, unfortunately. Usually close to $20 a yard for the really good stuff. If I can get it on sale, that's great. But it does mean that the cost for making our hot pads is a lot higher than it is for some other products, just because of the cost of fabric. But I don't regret that we are using, new fabric. I'm never going to regret that. So anyway, if you're watching on replay, go ahead and type #replay for me. And everything that I'm going to talk about tonight, we have these products on our website. So patrickchickenstudio.com. And you're obviously on our Facebook page if you're seeing us here. If you're seeing us on YouTube, this is a replay on YouTube. So you don't have to type replay there, but you can certainly leave a comment if you have questions or you have comments about our lives. We love to hear those. And we do post those later. So they go out a day or so after. I have to process the video first before I can get it out on YouTube. But we do have a YouTube channel, so you can just look us up at Patrick Chicken Studio. And we also have an Instagram account. So you can always see some of our posts over there. Wednesdays are busy days for us. So Wednesday morning, we release a Recipe Wednesday. And Recipe Wednesday is always some fairly easy dish that you can make. Might be dessert, might be side dish, might be a snack, might be a main dish. The one this morning was quinoa and peas and almonds. Actually really, really good. I just ate the last of it for lunch today. It was really good. But anyway, I make all the recipes, and I do try all the recipes, and I eat all the recipes. So you're guaranteed it's going to be good. And those come out at 6 in the morning. They also show up on our Pinterest page and on our YouTube channel. They premiere at 6 in the morning on Wednesdays. So you can always grab that recipe and make that for the weekend for one of your meals. So so far, I think we have 5 or 6 up there. Anyway, they're a lot of fun, ton of fun. So back to the hot pads. And obviously, we make things for the kitchen. We also make some wearables, and we make some practical things. We have a lot of different kinds of totes. But primarily, we're focused on the kitchen and things that are going to be useful. So that is why we do the recipes. And I use my hot pads in the kitchen all the time. And so our hot pads have the denim on the back, and this is a square of denim. This is before it's turned into a hot pad. And that's brand new fabric there. And these start out at 9 inches. And so the hot pad you get is about 7.5 or 8 inches. It's not exact because I'm not a machine. And sometimes when I'm turning the edges to finish them off, they can be a little uneven. One side might be wider than the other, but that's how you know it's handmade. We don't claim to be perfect. But this is a finished one. So this is our avocados, which are extremely popular. And we actually have several things made with this avocado fabric. So this is starting to show up across multiples of our items. And so we have tortilla warmers with this fabric. We have had drawstring totes with this fabric. And we have hot pads with this fabric. So avocados are kind of a theme. I do not have a market tote made with the avocados, but I might at some point. This fabric is pretty popular. So on the front, this is cotton calico on the front. I'm going to show you a little bit about how these are made with the various pieces. But this is cotton calico on the front, and of course the denim on the back. And there's a little tab so you can hang your hot pads. If you like to hang your hot pads, instead of throw them in the drawer, mine go in the drawer. I don't have anywhere to hang them. But some people like to display too. I do know people that have bought our hot pads strictly for display, but they are made to be used. So a hot pad or a pot holder, to be an official pot holder or hot pad, has to have something inside of it that wicks away the heat or that protects your hands from the hot. That's why you're using the hot pad, right? The pot holder to begin with. So it has to have something inside it to make it not burn you. And of course, if you hold on to a hot pad too long onto a pot that's hot, you will eventually feel that heat. But at the initial grab, you shouldn't have any kind of heat. But this is also why if you get them wet, ouch. So, and my camera is acting a little funny today, so I'm not really behind a neon light, but it's kind of funny. It's making some noise there. Anyway, inside of our hot pads and inside of many hot pads is a layer of a padding on the inside called Insulbrite, and they call it different names. This is used also in the potato warmers, and I don't make potato warmers because we've had some stories. Those things will catch on fire in the microwave because they're in there for such a long amount of time, and because this Insulbrite stuff, do you see that shiny part? That's metal. So there's metal inside here. This is batting surrounding a metal mesh layer, and that layer is what wicks heat away from your hands. When you've got that hot pad in your hand, you're grabbing for that pan. That's going to keep that from coming through so quick and get you. And these are nice and sturdy and thick, but if you're buying a hot pad at the store, it has to have something like this in it, or it cannot be called a hot pad or a pot holder. When we started making these, we knew that was critical. And so some people that are selling at craft fairs have not taken this step. They're just using cotton calico all around and using some cotton batting inside, and that's not going to protect you. It's not going to protect your counters either. So it's really important that you make sure you know what's going into the hot pads that you're buying. And yes, ours are not $3.99 at Walmart. They're handmade. We go out and curate the fabric especially for this purpose. And that denim, remember I told you, can be about $20 a yard. It's a lot of money to spend on denim. And then the cotton calicos cost us $5, $6 a yard. And then this stuff is $7.99 a yard. So $8 a yard for this. And we have to have this. We have to have all of these parts to make these hot pads. But that's why we don't sell them for $3.99. And we're not ever going to be able to sell them for $3.99. But we do believe in our quality. We believe in the value of these. And they're worth what we charge for them, which is $18. You get the pair for $18. Now, we feel like that's a fair exchange for not only the quality of the materials, but the quality of my workmanship, my sitting here. The machine I actually used to make these is sitting right here in front of me. All of that, you're paying for my expertise. You're paying for the research and development I did to come to how do we make a hot pad? How do we make it big enough? Ours are bigger than most. They're bigger than the ones you would buy at the store. Not by much, by about an inch, but it's enough. It means you're not burning your knuckles on the grate in the oven. So, we feel that they're worth what we're charging for them, and obviously our customers think so too because they buy them all the time. And I do have a whole video on YouTube about how we make the hot pads. It's like 20 minutes long, but it'll show you all the steps. And I don't share everything I do that way, but I think it's important for people to see how many steps are involved in making the hot pads and that we don't do these in 10 minutes. So there's a lot more involved in it than that. So I wanted to show you kind of how we start on some of these things. So this is some new fabric. Nicole picked this up a week or two ago, I guess. And this is a very much a Mexican or a Central American print. And I've got it is really kind of up and down, but it's got chickens on it. Let me turn that over. The chickens and fruit and flowers, and really like this fabric. It's very vibrant. Actually, it's much more vibrant than it shows up on camera. And she bought enough of it that she's going to make tortilla warmers with this. Isn't that pretty? And there's enough left for me to make a market tote and 2 pairs of hot pads. So we're going to have these matched sets that people can pick up if they want to. It's save a little bit of money, buy the whole thing together. But this is how we start. And so I start by layering up three things. So on the back is this muslin. This is just plain old cotton muslin. You can buy it at any fabric store. And you start with this cotton layer. And then we add the cotton batting. So this is regular cotton batting like you'd use for a quilt or pillow covers or whatever. And so it's all cotton there. And then the top fabric is cotton as well. And we sandwich this up. We call it a sandwich because you got all 3 layers together. So you can see you got all 3 layers. You've got the muslin on the bottom, you've got the batting in the middle, and then this fabric on the top. So this is how we start with this. And I tend to do these in batches, so I'll roll out a whole roll of muslin and a whole roll of the cotton batting, and then I cut these pieces, the tops, and lay them all in a row, and then slice on my big cutting board. And then I have a stack of these that I can work with. Well, you notice on these avocados, this isn't just loose fabric on here. I can't just pull this fabric up. It's actually quilted. It's not quilted onto the denim. So it's quilted in this little sandwich that I just showed you. I'm going to actually run these stitches here to make that sandwich stay together. So when I've done that, the sandwich looks like this. And so you can see the quilting lines barely because I matched the thread really well. But you can really tell I did it because I've got all my threads on the back. And this looks really messy. If you have OCD, this is hard for you to do. For me, this doesn't bother me. I know it should bother me. It doesn't. All of this thread gets cut off and hidden behind. But it doesn't bother me that it's there. So once we have this square here, it's about 9 inches across or 8.5 inches across, and it's 18 inches from end to end. And I can get 2 hot pad tops out of this. So I take it back to my cutting board and I cut it into 2 squares. Now, 2 squares at 7.5 inches means that's not the whole piece, right? 18 inches minus 14 inches means, or 15 inches means I've got a little bit left. Well, we take those ends, I'll have a piece, 3 or so inches wide. That's what I make our bookmarks out of. And if you ever purchase from us online and we ship you a package, you're going to get one of these in your package because I have a zillion of them. But here you can see that quilting on the back. This is just the end from one of these. So I go over and I cut it, trim it down so I have 2 squares that are 7.5 inches square. And that's what we make our hot pads with. So I've had several steps already, right? I had to cut out the denim. I got to cut out my squares, and I got to cut out all this stuff, and this stuff is obnoxious because it's fuzzy, makes me sneeze, and I have to use a special cutter because of the metal. I can't just use a regular rotary cutter. I have to use a special one, and it dulls the blades like crazy. But I have to cut all these out, and so if I'm doing them in batches, I might have a big stack of denim squares, and I might have a big stack of these, and then I'll have a big stack of all the little squares I cut to make these hot pads. So once we have our squares, then they get assembled. So I've got my denim here, and I've got my Insulbright, and then this goes on top. And then we just turn the corners on the denim. That's how we make our hot pads. So it is a process, and it's something I do in batches because it's more efficient, and because once you're kind of in the routine of it, it goes a little quicker. We like that process to go as quick as possible because time is money. We want to charge as little as we possibly can for our products so we don't price ourselves out of the market. You know, there's a lot of people out there making hot pads. Are they making them like we are? No, probably not. But we believe in our product, and we believe in the time and the effort that it takes to do it. So, and then those little tabs on the back, I'm going to show you the little tabs. So I can hang it up by here. It's not huge. It's just enough to go over a hook. See that? And that's denim too. And I actually make those out of the leftovers from cutting these. If I'm careful how I cut these squares, I have about a 3-inch piece at the end, and I can cut that into 2 strips, which when I fold them, iron them, and stitch them down, they look like this. So this is one that's already done. So you can see there's some stitching there. That's what holds it together. Well, I can get 3 tabs out of this. So I'm all about Tetris, right? I'm all about getting as much as I can get out of anything. So I get 3 tabs out of this, which is 1 pair of hot pads plus 1 more hot pad, which means if I have 2 strips, which is what I get out of the end of that, I can put tabs on 3 pairs of hot pads. I know, the math is hard, isn't it? Math is really hard. But denim is wide enough that I can cut 3 9-inch squares and have that 3-inch piece left, and it makes tabs. So for 1 9-inch slice, I get the enough denim for 3 pairs of hot pads and enough to make straps for 3 pairs of hot pads. So it's a very efficient process if I don't screw up my cutting. Sometimes that happens. I have wasted fabric before. I hate that because you just have to throw it away. It's, you know, or I'll save it for some weird project or something, but it's not the same. So I try not to screw that up. So after I've done all of that, then I'm able to assemble those hot pads and get them into this hot pad shape. These are new ones for us, these little campers. I really like them. They're very vintagey looking, but that's how we get our final product. And so from beginning to end, it can take several hours just to do all the cutting or to do just all of the quilting of these tops and cutting of those. And then hours spent assembling them on the final run through the machine where they're complete. And each one is different and unique. Like you can see, this one's a little bit lighter denim than this one. It just depends on what I bought, and I usually have light and dark, but most people right now are preferring dark, which is fine. So, but we always have something with chickens. This is one of our chicken prints. We have 3 or 4 chicken prints because that's our name, right? Patchwork Chicken Studio. But you can see they're the same. They're exactly the same, just a different color of denim. And sometimes I've had denim that's really very dark, almost black. And here's one that's actually pretty dark. And this is just gingham, like a gingham tablecloth. So we can use any kind of cotton fabric on the top that we want. There's dogs. We have a lot of dogs right now. I think three different kinds of dogs right now. These are Doxies, of course. Very cute. And there are bookmarks that go with this one. I don't know if I have them. Yeah, here we go. There's a bookmark. This is the leftover. You see, it's the same thing. It's just the leftovers from that. I don't like to throw it away, so I make them into bookmarks. And we have our mushrooms. Mushrooms are super hot right now. Super hot. And I definitely have mushroom bookmarks to go with them. But yeah, we find that, you know, the quality of our product is important. These are washable. They're blue jeans, right? So you throw them in the wash with your clothing. They're cotton, so they don't hold stains. If they get too close to the flame, they're not going to melt. They will catch on fire. I mean, it's fuel, right? It's going to catch on fire. But you'll be able to just tamp it out or stick it into the sink. But you don't want to be putting polyester anywhere near your stove because polyester will melt. So it won't burn, it'll melt. And polyester, when it melts, sticks to your hand and you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. So that's not something you want to be doing. No polyester. I'm very, very careful about that. If I can't iron the fabric, because after I make my little sandwich, it goes over to the ironing board and I iron it. What the ironing does is kind of sets the fabric against that batting so it doesn't shift when I'm quilting the top of it. And if I couldn't iron it on high, it's not cotton. So I know, but I'm very careful about my fabrics. And if it's poly, it doesn't get made into anything. Just like we're not using stretch denim on the back of here because stretch denim is full of spandex and plastic, polyester. They're going to melt. We don't want that. So it's always all cotton denim, and that's not the cheap stuff, but it's the stuff that you want. One thing you should know about our hot pads, any hot pads, don't put them in the microwave. Remember what I said about this? There's metal in there. What happens when you put metal in the microwave? And I know there's people that do it. They heat up their soup with a spoon in the bowl. I just think that's crazy because my microwave costs a lot of money and I'm not wanting to blow it up. I think you can get away with it for very short periods of time. I still don't think you should do it. We sell bowl cozies for a reason. Bowl cozies are for the microwave. You put the bowl cozy under your plate or your bowl in the microwave, and that's how you get your food out when it's hot. Trying to manipulate a hot pad in the microwave is ridiculous to begin with. It doesn't work well. But setting this piece of metal underneath your bowl, it's going to give you a really hot bowl, and it's not going to be fun. And you could arc in your microwave, and you could ruin your microwave. You can ruin your microwave pretty darned easy by just not paying attention. And so never, ever put our hot pads in the microwave. It's just a bad thing to do. It's a bad practice to do that. There are products for the microwave. Even your cotton kitchen towels are fine in the microwave, but not these. Don't do that. We would rather you be safe, to be honest. Have the right product for the job too. Have you heard anybody say that? That's like one of my phrases. It's like the right tool for the job. If I work with computers, I work with, during the day I work with students who have print disabilities and who need alternate format. So alternate format is like electronic format of files. It might be Braille, might be tactile images, things like that. And, we have a lot of software at our disposal. Well, I'm not going to try to convert some document using the wrong software. I use the right tool for the job. And if I'm going to try to put my hoses on, which we've been doing, it's finally warm enough to put the hoses on the house so I can start watering. I'm not just going to grab the chintzy little pliers. I'm going to grab my channel locks and put the hoses on right tool for the job. That's the way it is. And I think we have to think about that with things we use in our kitchen too. Yes, you can have tools that do multiple things, but have the right tool for the job and use the right tool for the job. You're going to have a better result. It's not rocket science, right? Right? So anyway, that's all the good stuff about hot pads. And I do encourage you to go look at our YouTube channel. And just look up Patchwork Chicken Studio and you'll find us, and you'll see the whole long video I did on making the hot pads. And it's really just a slideshow, but it's not 2 minutes. It's a little longer than that. And there is some video where I show how I do the final assembly, which I think is fascinating. And I do make these on one of my vintage machines. So the quilting part, when I do the top, that part is done on one machine that's really good at quilting. And the final assembly is done on another machine which can handle heavier fabrics. And I don't have an industrial machine. Well, I do. I have one in the garage, but it's not in a table and doesn't work right now. And it wouldn't do this anyway because it doesn't zigzag. But this machine was born about 1959 or 1960. My mother bought it when I was born. So I was born in 61. She bought it because she wanted to make me dresses. And that's cool, right? She didn't want to learn how to sew from her mom, so she taught herself because, She was 20. You know, that's what you do, right? So you just, no, I gotta learn from you. And I did the same thing. I didn't learn to sew from my mother. I learned to sew from my grandmother. But anyway, she bought this machine on time payments. And she used her ironing money to pay for it. So this was near and dear to her heart. And of course, Mom is in our collective. She'll see this later and she'll laugh at me. But this, I told my mom, I don't know, a year and a half or so ago, I said, boy, I wish I had, or 2 years ago maybe, I said, I wish I had a pink sewing machine. Well, this one's pink. It's sort of a beigey pink, a buff, kind of a buff pink, but it was made in Italy, and it's a very tough machine. And they were only in business for 10 or 12 years or something like that, and then the business was sold, and so the name went on some other machines that were not nearly as good. But there's a whole series of these machines from about 1956 to 1964 or so that are just amazing. And it will sew through all the corners on the denim. So when I sew these corners, when I'm going over these corners, there's about 9 layers of fabric there. That's a big ask for a machine. It's certainly a big ask for a modern machine. They really can't do it. But I can go over that and I don't break needles and I don't have any trouble making it go through. It just goes right on through it. It's just like whatever. And then when I put the tab on, do you remember I said the tab is 3 layers because it's folded 3 ways and it's stitched? Well, when I put the tab on the hot pad, it's 2. It's 2 layers on the corner of the hot pad. So in addition to the original 9 layers, here's another 6 layers. And it just goes right through it. It doesn't, it's amazing. I love it. The thing weighs a ton. I think it's probably over 50 pounds. I don't move it around other than to slide it around on the table. I'm not going to pick it up. I did have to carry it down here into my sewing room when I brought it back. But Mom gave me her machine. You know, she said, well, you can have my pink one. You can have it. And I learned to sew on this machine. So I know how it works. I know what it can do. It will make buttonholes if I want it to make buttonholes. It does a beautiful zigzag stitch. So it's great for doing the hot pads. It's good for all kinds of things. Sewing on elastic, because it doesn't, elastic, it's like whatever, you know. Might as well be tissue paper. I can go right through this. And it's very effective. And I know I could get a more modern machine to do some of this work, but it would have to be an industrial machine, and it would cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. And, you know, I'd rather have my $50, $60, $100 vintage machines that will run forever if I take care of them. And this one is particularly good. And it has these 2 settings on it, turtle or rabbit. So if you're sewing something where the detail is important, it gets set on turtle. But most of the time I run it on rabbit because I'm in a hurry. I just want to get this stuff done. And a year or so ago, the pedal, I couldn't get it to nuance anymore, to like go slow. It just like, it was either not running or running like the wind. And that was not helping me any. And so I took it home to Missouri to my brother and said, help me, because he can fix things. Fix sewing machines. He works on them all the time, and he replaced the pedal, and now it's fine. Now I can do that nuance a little slow or a little fast, whatever I want to do with it. So that's the cool thing about these machines, is that they can be fixed easily. It's never anything serious. There's no electronic brain to go bad or software that needs to be updated or anything like that. It's all just straightforward metal. It's like a car, like an old car. But anyway, that's the machine I use. And I did show that in a video a couple weeks ago when I was showing the studio. So you've seen a picture of it, I know. But it's a very cool machine, and I do love it. And I don't think I'd trade it for anything right now. And I say that about all my machines. So my house better not catch on fire, because I won't be able to get them all out in time. I usually say, though, you know, somebody say, what's your favorite machine? And I'll say, well, this green one over here is my favorite, and it's the one I grabbed at the house caught on fire. But I think I'd have a hard time walking away from all the others, because they all have a job to do, and they do a good job at the job they do. So anyway, we're coming up on a half an hour. Again, our website, patchworkchickenstudio.com. You can find us on YouTube. Just look up Patchwork Chicken Studio. They don't do the @ thing there. Insta is at Patchwork Chicken Studio. We're on Pinterest as well, so our products are on Pinterest, and we share a lot of cool things, recipes and ideas. And these videos can't go over there, but I can always link to them. We are on TikTok, but I think it's under my name. That's kind of new. We've just been putting the recipes over there on TikTok. So you can always find us there. You can find us here on our Facebook page. If you haven't signed up for our email list, you should do that. There is a link pinned to the top of our page, our Facebook page, where you can just click over there and put in your email address. We do not spam you. We tell you when there's a sale. We have a monthly newsletter, and that's pretty much it. We do have a sale right now. Mother's Day sale is going on through this coming Sunday. So any product bought by Sunday, you get 10% off, and it will get delivered in time for Mother's Day. And we believe that some of these things should be pretty, not just practical. So we make pretty things, and your mom deserves some pretty things. So I would head on over there and take a look. We also have a lot of mom's scarves and runs up there right now. We got a big shipment of those from her a couple weeks ago. So everything is up there that we have right now, and has pictures of almost everything. I think one scarf doesn't have a picture yet. It's been too windy for me to get outside and take pictures, which is really frustrating. But anyway, head on over there, 10% off. We always have free shipping. We've never charged for shipping. It's built into our pricing. Just makes more sense to us. Anyway, I hope you're having a good night. I'm going to go fix some dinner because it's now 7 o'clock. But hopefully the wind doesn't blow me away. I have to put out the trash tonight. And I don't think my trash can's full enough to not blow away. It's been really windy, and it's going to be windy for the rest of this week and this weekend. So I don't know what's up with the wind, but I'm tired of the wind. Anyway, take care. I will talk to you live next Wednesday, 6:30 Mountain Daylight Time. Have a good night.